Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Right to Rise Collective podcast. I am your host, Leslie Wall, and I cannot be more excited to introduce a guest, a woman whose work and Southern heart are both truly inspiring. She's a dear friend and client, Lauren Gary. Lauren is the owner of Lauren Gary Wellness. She has built this business on the foundation of helping women prioritize themselves and reclaim their health. She is a nurse practitioner and a weight loss coach. Lauren is on a mission to help women in their 30s and 40s regain balance in their lives, reduce stress, and transform their health. Not through quick fixes, but through holistic, sustainable practices that nurture both the body and mind. And what I love most about Lauren is that she brings such a deep sense of faith into her entrepreneurship. She leads with intention and strong belief in the power of faith-based decision-making in business. It's been so incredible to watch you build this business in just the short amount of time that I've known you, and a business that aligns with not only your values, but the values of the women that you serve. So today we're going to talk about holistic weight loss tips that will probably resonate with most of my listeners. The launch of your new Love It or Leave It membership, which we love, and the space where women can simplify their lives by start living with more intention and less overwhelm. So I'm so excited to talk to you today, Lauren. You're a member of the Inspired Author Program, and I came to you as a Southern girl trying to lose a couple pounds, but didn't want to give up my sweet tea, and I've just really enjoyed the path that we've been on. So thank you for being here today.
I am happy to be here. And I love that you mentioned the sweet tea thing because I ask all of my clients what their non-negotiable is, and my personal non-negotiable is sweet tea. So I get that 1000%.
What's really funny about that is I now live in Hawaii and I can't find sweet tea anywhere. There's like one place on the island that has it, so I'll go there occasionally, but otherwise I'm making it for myself. So, but I love that we share that and share the Southern thread. So tell us where you're at in the world and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So I was born and raised in Kentucky. I'm a Kentucky girl at heart. I went to school, was a nurse in the ER for several years, and eventually went back and got my nurse practitioner degree and worked in primary care. Married, had the cutest little kiddo named Corbin. Really got into my groove as when you first enter true adulthood, when you're like married, kid, career, all the things falling into place. And then COVID happened. And as COVID happens, it kind of rocked the boat for some people, but for me it rocked the boat in a good way. We ended up selling our home in Kentucky. We got an RV, which we had never RV'd before. We went out west on a 4-month road trip and just lived our best life. I did telehealth. Our little boy was 3 at the time. We had our 2 dogs with us and we just explored. But it was a really cool journey and definitely learned a lot about myself along the way. But the plan was we got back to Kentucky after our 4 months of travel. We were going to buy a house, settle down, do all the things. And my husband and I looked at each other one day and we're like, what if we just moved to Montana? Because we absolutely loved it. Of all the states we visited, we absolutely loved it. And it was probably the craziest. I'm truly like a type A perfectionist, planner, all the things. And this was the craziest thing I've ever done in my entire life. But I was like, okay. And literally within the next 6 weeks, I had found a job in primary care out in Montana. We were packing, we were getting ready to go. So fast forward a little bit, we lived 2 years in Montana, had the best time skiing and doing all the things out there. Absolutely loved it. But then we felt called to be closer to family again. But we are now in Florida. I launched, went out on my own a little bit, left primary care last year, and that's when I launched what you were talking about, Lauren Gary Wellness, where I help women with weight loss, and it's so much deeper than that, as you know, but anxiety, mental health, spiritual health, and I do the coaching online, and we still travel a lot, but Florida is officially our new home base.
I love it. I love it. Close to the beaches there.
Close
Oh.
to the beach. And I do love the beach, but I also very much love the mountains. So I get the best of both worlds. We travel to Montana for our vacation, and then we live at the beach. And of course, we still go to Kentucky a ton to see family there as well.
Yeah, I love that. I just want to touch on this because I am launching a Right to Heal, which is a collective of nurses telling their perspectives of COVID. And it's just always so interesting to hear. What I'm hearing from you is that was a moment of freedom, maybe the first freedom that you felt, and liberation, to do and explore things on your bucket list. So it was almost like a reprioritizing of what really mattered. So
Yeah, for sure.
I
It was
love
a complete reset, just an absolute reset because I had been a nurse practitioner at that point for 2 years. Like I'd got my feet wet, I was in my groove, and we were doing only telehealth, and I was kind of getting stir crazy. I think a lot of people got stir crazy, but it was like I was on my computer all day, and then I would go home and we couldn't go out and do anything. And it was like, well, goodness, if we can't go out and be around other people, let's at least go out and be like in God's creation and hike and paddleboard and do those sorts of things. And yeah, it was definitely very freeing.
You have a very different approach. You have this nervous system approach, slowing down and resetting. Is this moment in your life kind of where you're starting to connect the dots that weight loss is so much more than what we put in our mouth?
Yeah, 1,000%. And I guess to go back, so the 2 years that I worked as a nurse practitioner, Corbin was very, very young, and so this was like my postpartum time. And so I was working as a nurse practitioner in primary care. I had a little toddler at home, but I was not satisfied with my health and my weight for the first time in my life because I never really struggled with it up until having him. And it was so weird because I knew, like in my head, I had the brain and the knowledge to know how your body works, how your metabolism works, how to lose weight, but practically, I was not seeing that. And so I was probably about 20 or 30 pounds more than I wanted to be, and I was counting calories and putting myself in deficits, and I tried all the things that we've all tried. I did Noom and Weight Watchers and the beach body workouts and all the things, and I was not successful. Like, it would go up and down and up and down, and I never actually got back to the weight that I wanted. So then fast forward, we're on this road trip, and guess what? One of the things you don't pack when you go on a 4-month RV trip is a scale. It's just not priority. There's not room for it. So that sucker was like put in storage. And so I had this 4 months where I wasn't focused on the scale. Like I was still focused on healthy habits as far as like eating foods that were good for us. We were obviously super active because we were out in nature. But I think the biggest thing for me in that time is my nervous system relaxed. Like I was in nature. I was close to God. I was at peace. I slowed down. Like for the first time I had pumped the brakes. And lo and behold, I get back and it's like, oh, I am down. My weight is where I need to be. I knew my body had changed because my clothes were fitting better. My energy was good. But it was like the first time that I had lost weight without trying to lose weight. And it felt very, very easy to me for the first time ever. And yeah, I do think that kind of laid the groundwork for what I do now. And I didn't even realize it at the time that this was growing and brewing, but yeah, I was seeing these same struggles in primary care of women in their 30s, women in their 40s coming to me, trying everything, not able to lose weight, feeling anxious, feeling depressed, feeling tired, feeling run down, and also feeling really helpless because guess what? Their labs and they look okay. Everything looked okay on paper. So what was the bigger picture? And so that's kind of the basis of why I launched Lauren Gary Wellness and my personal story too that got me to that point.
I think that's so important, especially from a medical standpoint, to be able to really, really empathize and connect with your clients that are coming to you and not just spit off what we've been taught in the medical books. You're literally the first practitioner that's just been like, okay, you've got a lot going on. Let's just like honor what's going on in your life and rest. And I think for me, you just saying that and being aware of where my nervous system was in the moment actually made me start losing weight, and just that acknowledgement and that permission to just celebrate and take it easy. and just rest. And then my body really did start to just drop the weight. It just started releasing. I love that you have experienced that and you're able to teach that.
It's huge for so many women, and I don't think most people probably realize how their nervous system, how their stress, how their anxiety, how their mindset affects their weight. But it does. I always say 30% of what I do is nutrition and movement, and 70% is mindset and deeper work.
Absolutely. I really want to go back to, because so much of your business is based off of your values, and you've built a business that this is what you believe in and what you live by, and everything is so aligned. I really want to know more about how your faith influences your approach with these women that come to you, or entrepreneurship in general.
Yeah, no, I love that question. I think for me, when we were on our road trip and we were traveling, I have always felt closest to God when I'm out in nature, when I'm out in His creation, and when I see the mountains and my feet are in the sand and I'm breathing the fresh air in the mountains. It's like it is where my soul feels restored. And knowing that and knowing that feeling, and if you've experienced it, like you know it too. But for so many of us, like in modern day, like especially women and like hustle culture, especially those of us who are building businesses, like we kind of forget to check in with our soul and like how are you doing in there, and we're so focused on taking care of everyone else, whether it be our spouses, our kiddos, or our older parents, and we really forget to just kind of turn back and look inward and how we're feeling. And so for me, when the times in my life where I have done that and I've checked in with Lauren and I've checked in with how I'm doing internally, those are the times not only where business is doing great, but also where my health is doing great and I feel great and I'm sleeping great and everything is fully aligned. And so because I know to my core that my spiritual health is the foundation of my mental health and my physical health, then that's what I have to teach my clients too. And so I use my faith in my practice because it's what's helped me, and it's what helps so many of my clients too. Is I think, like you said earlier, just giving people permission to have grace with themselves, giving people permission to remember like how God designed us, and we were never meant to be perfect at anything. We are designed to look to Him for our strength and our wisdom and our knowledge, and the fact that we are weak actually brings light more to Him. And so I think, in all of our lives, it's so easy to get lost in the hustle culture and the busy schedules, busy, busy, busy. If you ask anyone, how have you been? They're always like, good, but busy. And it's hard but why? Why are we so busy? Why are we rushing life? Why are we rushing health? Why are we rushing even the process of weight loss, which, so many people want to lose weight, but they want to lose it quickly. But why? I just kind of ask it and making other people curious too. Why are we in the rush? And I think when you kind of give your chance, not only the ability to slow down in like life, but also in your goals and your health and your weight loss, it allows you to connect more with yourself and connect more with God throughout the process. And then the process feels more fun and enjoyable and exciting and sustainable, which are all the things that I teach and preach on all the time.
I've heard enjoy. You've referenced that several times throughout this conversation, that really is kind of the trick when people bring joy back to their life and do the things that bring them joy. All the other things kind of naturally will align. Thank you for the reminder. Because entrepreneurship, this is the road of most resistance. This is not the easiest path. And it certainly will challenge your views on faith. It will challenge how you feel about yourself, how you feel about others. And in a world that tells us not to bring your faith into this, how do you maintain faith and trust in this journey, even when the road gets tough or uncertain?
I mean, I can agree that building a business, especially building a business from scratch, is the hardest thing I have ever done. And it has taught me a whole lot about myself, my internal self, how I deal with stress, how I deal with so many different things. It's like a roller coaster. If you've been there, if you've done it, you know you have days where you are on cloud nine and you're so glad and you love it, and you have days where you're like pulling your hair out. And I mean, I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you, like, I have had so many thoughts. It would be so much easier just to go back to primary care. It would be so much easier just to get a job as a nurse practitioner. Because it's a journey. It's an up and down journey. But, I know this to be true. Anytime you have difficulties in life or struggles, those are moments that I have been taught, and time again, that is when I lean into my faith the most, right? And so it's like sometimes these little hurdles that we have to go to, they're just little reminders that remind you, oh yeah, Lauren, you can't do this by yourself. You don't know how to run a business. You can't do all of this without relying on God. And something just recently, like literally within the last month, that I've tried to incorporate is I've hired tons of business mentors along the way, and they have helped me get to where I am, and I'm forever grateful for them. But I was driving one day, just like last month, and I had this epiphany. And I felt like God was telling me, He was like, Lauren, it's fine to have mentors in your business, but don't forget I'm here too.
Yep.
And it was just like, whoa, like I never thought to go to God for like wisdom and for business advice, right?
Yeah.
And so from that day, I literally like try to think of God like He's my business partner.
Yep.
Right? Like He is in this business. He is helping women heal. He is helping women lose weight. Everything I'm teaching is based on my faith. So why in the world would I ever try to do it without Him? And so I don't know. That's just been like a huge revelation within the last 30 days where every morning I pray for my clients by name, and I spend time, and I love to get to know them and their journey and what's going on. And I like to pray specifically over things that they're struggling with and things that they're going through. And I don't know, it's just like I love teaching and helping women, but I can help so much better when I'm praying for them and when God is on my side and when my focus is on my faith. And I think that's part of the reason my clients are so successful.
I think it's not even part. I think it's, a massive portion because it is the things that are unseen and those little miracle moments, those people that are praying for you when you can't lift yourself up. I love that you channeled that message because I think that's so important to understand. We need to listen to ourselves. We have everything within us, and I try to teach my clients that I don't want my clients to have to depend on me forever. I want them to get to a place where they trust their intuition and what they feel so that they can live a healthy life. I want them to stand on their own 2 feet. And I love that you are also teaching that because it's so important. You don't need another certification. You don't need any more classes. You don't need another mentor. You just need to start listening and trusting yourself and trusting that God's path is right for you. You speak a lot about the connection between mental health and weight loss. Can you break down and explain how stress, anxiety, and your emotional state is actually affecting, especially as women, our ability to lose and release the weight?
Yes, I absolutely will. I talk about this till I go blue in the face, so this is easy for me to talk about. But essentially, when our bodies are stressed, we go into fight or flight mode. And this is the part of our nervous system that honestly was designed to save us from terrible situations. So I always use the example of you're hiking and a grizzly bear comes out. You want to go in fight or flight mode in that situation because it's what gets you away from the bear, right? But the part about our society today is there are things that trigger fight or flight that are not actually life-threatening. So like for me personally, a messy house triggers my fight or flight. A to-do list that's not complete. Having too many appointments back to back to back. So I'm constantly in fight or flight mode, but there's no grizzly bear. You know what I'm saying? So our bodies, we know we're stressed, but it doesn't know the degree in which we're stressed. And so from a hormonal perspective, it just does what it knows to do. And so it makes, when you are stressed, it basically tells your body to store fat. So your body goes into fat storage mode, which again is a safety mechanism. It's a good thing. But if we're in fat storage mode all day, every day, you can see how losing weight now is a problem. Our bodies don't know how to lose weight. It's just trying to protect us and keep us safe. So it's not that our bodies are working against us. It's just that we're not on the same page of the book. We need to get back on the same page. And remind yourself, too, that the fight or flight response is okay. The trick is teaching yourself how, when you experience that fight or flight response, how then to go back into the rest and restore side of your nervous system relatively quickly. So you see the dishes in the sink that give you a little bit of stress, but then you can close your eyes, do a couple of deep breathing, and remind yourself, like, this is not the end of the day. You can take care of this later, whatever the case may be. And so this is something I teach my clients too, and believe me, like, this is still something I'm working on, and by no means have mastered this, but training your body and training your nervous system to recognize when you're in fight or flight, and then a couple of tips, things you can do that pull it back into rest and restored. And if you do that time and time and time again and keep practicing it and build it into a habit, well, now your body, it shifts back and forth between the two easily, and when it shifts out of the fight or flight mode, well, now it can go into fat burning mode. And it makes weight loss so much easier.
And how do these women discern when they're in fight or flight? Is that a feeling that they have? What would be some things that would trigger them to think, oh, okay, my body's doing this. I need to start practicing my tools and tricks?
Yeah, I can tell you from my experience, feeling overstimulated or overwhelmed or overtouched. So, like, the example of you're driving in the car, your spouse is talking, the radio's on, and the kid is asking a question in the back, and you're just like, I can't do it all. I always turn the radio down when Corbin's trying to talk to me. And my husband can't understand, like, it's too much stimuli for me. It overstimulates me. It overwhelms me. I feel my nervous system getting in a tizzy when that happens. So that's one example. If you feel like you come home from work or you come out of your office and you want to be like a loving parent or spouse, but you just feel like kind of easily triggered, irritable, a little snappy, that sort of thing, that's a sign that your nervous system is in fight or flight. Okay, so that's first and foremost. A lot of women too will experience like tension in their neck and shoulders. That's a sign that you've been holding that tension for a long time, usually because you're in fight or flight mode. If you're having digestive issues, that's another huge one. So we also call that rest and restore mode, like your rest and digest. So if you're in fight or flight all the time, your body's not digesting appropriately. And so that can present with like bloating, diarrhea, constipation, like sensitivities to food, all of the things. So the gut is a big indicator too, if you're having a lot of symptoms there, that you could be in this fight or flight more often. But for most women, if you just pause enough to think, you can kind of go back and think to a place when you felt rested and restored. And it's like a slower, you can intentionally feel your breathing go like even slower when you think about that place or that memory. And you know what it feels like to be relaxed, right? Yeah. And so anything that's not that, you're probably in fight or flight, unfortunately. Yeah. But that's okay. I think identifying it's the first step. And then once you're like, oh, yep, I'm definitely in fight or flight, probably 110% of the time. Okay, cool. There's things you can do. We'll start working on it.
So we've recognized what's going on. We feel frenetic. We know that we're in fight or flight. What are 3 things that we could do to work through that?
Yeah, to bring it back. So for me, because I told you earlier, I love being outside. I love being in nature. So one of the things that I do all the time is go outside. It's so simple. Go outside. It's a lot easier to be relaxed when you are in the fresh air. And this can look like just walking outside barefoot in your backyard and taking a couple deep breaths and then going back to what you were doing. It doesn't have to be complicated. For me, this is something now that I don't wait to feel that way to implement it. I prescribe myself throughout the day moments where I go get fresh air outside. I don't wait to feel like I'm overwhelmed or overstimulated to do it. It's like little medicine sprinkled in throughout the day. I get my morning walk in the sunshine. After lunch, I usually will go outside and check the mail and get a little bit of fresh air. And then, of course, we have weekly things that we go and do, like fun activities outside. If I don't do that, I go crazy, and I know that. So that's one thing. Just get outside more and get fresh air. Another thing, Epsom salt baths. I know that sounds so just general and simple. I take a Epsom salt bath once a week. Regardless if I feel stressed or not, it's just like, oh, I haven't had my bath this week and I need to help regulate my nervous system. There's something about just the warm water, the quiet, the Epsom salt that just helps your body feel safe and restored. So that's another simple one. And then I think for most of the women who work with me, it's just having like a little bit of quiet time as you start your day. And that could be Bible time, prayer time, meditation. Pretty much when we start our days, we go 100 miles an hour throughout the whole day. So if we can just give ourselves 10 minutes, 15 minutes before we get busy to just be and be quiet and just listen and read and meditate, whatever that looks like for you, you're priming your nervous system to have that moment of safety, and it's going to set the tone for the rest of the day.
Those are so simple, but it's so powerful. Never underestimate the power of 5 minutes, right? And 5 minutes, go check your mail. That literally will reset your nervous system, or bathe in the sunshine. I also teach in my writing practice and with my holistic nursing clients the golden hour. Instead of checking your phone first thing in the morning, or your emails or your social media, that intentional time with yourself and the God of your understanding, to just be still. And when I was trying to learn this, I was on emergency call. I worked 80-hour weeks. I was on a pager. So there really wasn't a moment that was mine. But I would practice even in the bathroom. I would be still and know, be still and be still, be, and I would just do a meditation where I would subtract the word from that scripture and just really sink into my breath. It took less than 5 minutes, but it was the reminder and the switch that I needed.
Yeah,
So
I love
understanding that this doesn't have to be a huge chunk of your day, but never underestimate the power of 5 to 15 minutes with yourself. And it can be in the bathroom if that's the only alone. You're a mom, you get this, you have babies and things to do, and sometimes that's your only alone time. So I love those tips and tricks.
Another thing too is just like the quiet, like be okay with driving in silence, like just turning the radio off. If you get a moment in the car by yourself, for most of us, that's the perfect time to just turn off the radio and literally just like drive, just be.
Yeah.
You don't have to meditate. You don't do anything. It's just the silence. Like we're so overstimulated from technology, and there's so many good things about technology. But the truth is, like, it's pulling our attention constantly. Whether it's our Apple Watch that's buzzing, or our phones that are going off, or the TV, or the music, or this or that in the background. There's very rare moments where we just are silent, and I think being okay with that and intentionally finding ways you can plug that in. And kind of like you said earlier too, this does not have to be complex. We do not have to be perfect in these things. You can start with like 2 minutes a day and start practicing something that's going to regulate your nervous system. I think that's another big principle that I teach for my one-on-one clients is knowing all this stuff is great, but we've got to learn how to practically apply it for like the average person, right? You have a lot of health influencers online that have like these 2-hour morning routines, which are lovely and incredible, but most of us maybe have 2 to 5 minutes that we can do something. So, meeting women where they're at and figuring out what it looks like for them in their life, because it's going to be different for all of us.
Yeah. I want to segue too, because I think social media and the constant noise out there is also something that attributes to our mental health, which attributes to our weight. And one thing that was so profound with your program for me working through it was It's literally the first time in 42 years of my life that somebody has given me permission to practice self-compassion. And I know that sounds really, really simple, but on social media for business, you're constantly feeling like you're behind on things or that you're not doing things correctly. And you were the first person to really teach me to practice self-compassion towards myself. How profound is that? And how often are you seeing that shift in the women that you're working with, just giving them themselves grace to be?
I think most women, when they think about losing weight, they have some sort of negative feeling that stirs up. Restriction, guilt, shame. Why am I not motivated enough? Why do I not have enough willpower? This negative voice that has been in our heads for so many years, for most of us. And I just don't think that's the way God intends us to talk to ourselves, to treat our bodies. And if we are wanting to lose weight, who says that can't be fun and easy and we can't enjoy the process and we can't talk ourselves up and give ourselves high fives in the mirror and love our bodies even the way they are today, even where we're at right now in this moment. And so a lot of what I teach is journaling and pulling that out of people, because that's thing, it's just second nature to us. We just think, oh, I can't have the cake, I'm dieting. Oh, I can't have the sweet tea. Oh, I can't have the carb. That's not what this is about. This is about fueling your body so that you feel incredible, so that you can be the best mom, you can be the best business owner, you can be the best version of you. And that doesn't come with you looking at yourself and saying, I don't like the way this shirt fits me. Why do I have a double chin or a muffin top or this or that? This comes with looking at yourself and saying, today is going to be a phenomenal day. I'm going to do things that move me forward today. I am strong. I am beautiful. God loves me and I love who I am becoming. And when you flip the switch and you start talking to yourself in that way, guess what? You show up for yourself a whole lot more, because you're building like the self-love and the self-trust. And it's almost like this spiral, because once you have that more of that positive conversation with yourself, well, then you show up for yourself more. You follow through. You make commitments and you do them. And it's literally just flipping the switch in how you talk to yourself, having grace, having compassion, just like you would your best friend or your mom or someone super close to you, and treating yourself and your body in the same exact way.
I love that. Yeah, it's not like the thoughts don't stop, but you have the awareness of them. And I still have the thoughts, but now I'm able to stop and reframe, and hopefully one day it will just be a natural thing that I'm doing. But right now it just starts with the awareness of how mean I am to myself and reframing that and celebrating. I think we've worked together for 3 months now, and I came to you and I was like, I'm not getting on the scale. I don't want my arms to wag anymore when I wave to somebody, and I don't want my legs to rub together when I walk. And that's how I'm measuring my weight loss. And you were like, yeah, that's fine. And our bodies are doing everything that they can to make us healthy. There may be other factors at play. Helped me to realize that I had literally come from just 3 years ago. I was in cardiac, liver, and kidney failure. So maybe I've got a little bit of extra weight on me. Maybe my kidneys are still recovering, but you allowed me to give myself a little bit of grace and realize how far my body has come, So I have full-blown goosebumps from what you just said. So let's talk about your new membership. You just launched this incredible Love It or Leave It membership, and share a little bit about the space and what women can hope to gain there.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited about this new membership that I'm doing. So previously, I've always offered one-on-one coaching, but previously, to work with me, women would commit to working 4 months or 6 months. And for a lot of women, that seemed really big and out of reach. It seemed scary to them. And I think the reason too is because so many women didn't think that this was actually going to work for them. they had tried and failed so many things in the past that committing to something big like that was very intimidating. And so the Love It or Leave It is still one-on-one coaching, but essentially it's like a monthly subscription. So you jump into one-on-one coaching with me. I know you're going to love it. I know you're going to be successful. I know you're going to want to keep going. But it gives you the out too. So you can leave it, like if you try 30 days and you're like, you know what, this isn't the program for me, this isn't working the way I'd hoped, you can walk away, no strings attached, easy peasy. You don't have to make that 4 or 6 month commitment. But the hope is you will love it. You will see that this is a process. You'll realize this is going to take a couple of months to work through. And we will start and begin and work through your healing journey. So it's still my one-on-one coaching offer. It's just kind of like the no strings attached, like test the waters. And like I said, it's mainly to let you be convinced that this is going to work for you. This is the process that's, because it's scary. Like there's so much out there and there's so many health people telling you different things, but we have to figure out what is going to work for you specifically. And so if you need that little teaser of 30 days to try it out to get you started, then I'll meet you there. We'll get going.
Share with us your favorite success story or transformation that you've witnessed a member having within your program.
Oh, that's a good one. That's going to be hard to pick my favorite.
Really fun ones lately.
I'm between two at the moment. I'm going to start with number one. I guess I'll protect her privacy. Let's just say her name is Kayla. But Kayla came to me obviously wanting to lose weight and all the things. But for her specifically, she was really struggling with her mental health. And she was a mom, she had a toddler, she's like in the midst of early motherhood and kind of had just lost that connection that she was having with herself. So she came to me wanting to lose weight and then also just like better mindset, essentially. So we worked together and she had a phenomenal transformation. She lost 27 pounds in our 4-month program. She lost 18 inches.
4 months?
In 4 months. She lost 18 inches. Phenomenal. But that's still not even the best part because her biggest thing, and I might tear up saying it, but she said, Lauren, I have my joy back again. And to me, that's what it's all about. She has her joy to show up for her family, her joy to show up for herself. And although the numbers are phenomenal and her body is different, she feels like herself again, mentally, physically, and spiritually. So she was a good one. I mean, one of my all-time favorites, and just how she worded that as she was offboarding. And even now, she remains like in my membership program. And she just continues to do phenomenal. And she's now in a place too where she's like encouraging and coaching some of the other women along and pulling them forward because she was just there not too long ago. But that, if I had to pick one, I would say that would be my favorite transformation.
That's so important to find your joy again, to be in joy, to enjoy your life again is immeasurable. It's something you can't put a price tag on. It's something you can't put a number on because so many of us, the root of everything that is going on in life, the weight, the stress, the anxiety, it's all because we've disconnected from what really truly brings us joy and what the world has told us will give us joy. And you keep bringing us back to that in this conversation, and I just really appreciate how you keep reiterating that. And I think for women, for nurses, for us, that is so, so, so important to see our clients. If you work in the hospital environment, to see your patient have that shift where they're smiling again, where they're laughing again, where they remember their why life is so precious, and that it's so much more than a weight loss program, right?
Exactly.
You get your life back.
Yeah. And the same girl that I was telling the story about, she followed me for 9 months. I didn't even know who she was. She followed me for 9 months on Instagram and just randomly dropped into my messages and said, how can I work with you? And I just think it's so cool because I joke with her now. It's like, I didn't even know who you were. Like most of my people who follow me, like we're having conversations. And like
Yeah.
usually I have to like really pursue someone and like encourage them to like take the next step. And she says even to this day, she's like, the only regret I have is that I didn't start sooner. Like, but it's so hard
Mhm.
for people because
Yeah.
it's not tangible, right? Like
Yeah.
to invest in something that like a coaching program,
Yeah.
it's not something you can grasp and hold on to at the end of the day. But like you said earlier, it's getting your joy back, it's getting your life back, it's getting your body back, all these things to make you the best version of yourself, which I just
Yeah.
love her story. She's too cool.
I want to touch on that too. I think that there is so much noise on the internet and so many people claiming to be coaches and claiming to be mentors and guides because they've been through these things or because they worked in these certain environments and have had certain success in their life. But there is something so different about nurses in coaching. And nurses are still the number one trusted profession, but there really is, my sessions with you are so much more than a weight loss session. It's my sacred time. It's soothing time. It's almost like I treat it like a massage or, my facial. Like it's something that I really look forward to. It's the accountability that I need, the guidance that I need, the support that I need, but also this just incredibly safe and sacred space when you have the right coaches. And you are one of those magic coaches that has the ability to set up this safe space where people do feel heard and seen and supported. And you don't have this cookie cutter program. You're not boasting about all of these transformations. You really listen to your client and come up with a plan that works for them and the space that they're in their life. And I really, really appreciate that. And I'm sure your clients do too.
I appreciate you saying that. That means a lot.
Yeah. So you are in my inspired author program. You know I'm going to bring it up. You know. I know we're still working on Lauren's book, but I do kind of want to touch on it so that the listeners can, if they want more of you, they'll know that you've got a beautiful book coming out. So talk to us a little bit about the book, what inspired it, and the direction that you're heading with it.
Yeah. So the book is called Rooted. And, it's so hard for me. I know Leslie and I have spent, 45 minutes talking about all the things so far. But it's always so hard for me when people say, like, what do you do? Or how do you help people? It is so hard for me to put into words. Like, it's just like word vomit because it's like, well, it's weight loss, but it's so much more. And it's like your nervous system and your hormones and et cetera, et cetera. And so when Leslie and I connected and she basically invited me into her program, I was like, this is my chance to tell people what I do. And I can have pages and pages and pages to do it. But more so, like the biggest thing and the biggest message of this book is how weight loss is connected to the nervous system and slowing down and when living a more intentional, grounded life which is essentially like the mission and the purpose of everything I teach all of my one-on-one clients, but breaking that down with easy tips and how it's all interconnected and why it matters, honestly, so I can reach more people, so I can tell more stories, and this can hit home, hopefully, with some of the people even listening to this. But my goodness, writing a book is fun, especially if you're doing it with Leslie, because yeah, she pulls out these stories out of you that you kind of forget were even there, or you've suppressed, and it's just been really good. Even like I would say a healing journey for myself, even just putting all of the words like onto paper now. But yeah,
Yeah. You mentioned it too. Part of your program is a lot of journaling, and we I think as a society, from school system, as nurses, we stay up all night writing care plans, reading countless books, and you really get to a place where you're like, I never want to write another thing in my life. I never want to read another book. And it took me probably 3 years after graduating nursing to actually sit down and read again. But learning how to tap back in and to write and pull those stories out of myself was so healing. And now to watch my clients do that, it is this beautiful form of medicine. And just seeing the power of your words to read your story, that is how we connect with humanity now, is through our stories. I get to learn so much about my clients. I've gotten to learn so much about you and what drives you and what shaped you and the fire that keeps you alive and coming back for more every day. And it really is just a beautiful process to watch you open up through the writing journey. For the listeners considering writing their own book, do you have any advice on getting started?
My advice is, she did not tell me to say this. My advice is just to go to Leslie and let her tell you how to get started. Because just like on, my weight loss and program, having someone to keep you accountable and to show you the way. Because it's so easy to get distracted. It's so easy to second guess yourself. It's so easy to get like almost frozen in the process, whether this is weight loss or writing a book. So I cannot imagine, nor would I ever even try to do something like that without someone who knows the system and how it works, like Leslie. So that, honestly, I truly mean that. Like, one, don't get scared by it being like this big thing in your head, because when she breaks it down for you, it truly is just like journaling and answering questions, and then like zooming out a little bit. Well, how does this apply to other people? How can they take this and help them in their situation? And you have walked me through step by step. So don't get bogged down or overwhelmed by getting started. Just find a coach or someone who can walk you through the process and trust their guidance, because it truly has been, it's been enjoyable. And when you think about like back in college, like writing papers, like 18-page or 25-page, like research paper, it was always like, ugh, like this is like dreadful thing that you had to do, or even like soap notes, closing charts, right? Like writing has kind of in the last few years not been an enjoyable thing. But I can honestly say over the last few months, like it's one of my favorite things that I do every week. And I do feel like it kind of is my meditation, and it makes me slow down and it makes me think through things that I have suppressed. And so it truly is like a healing journey to write a book, whatever the topic of the book is, just to get those words out and those stories out. It's very freeing and very enjoyable when you have someone that's holding your hand.
It's almost like when we give ourselves permission to unlock those stories, things that were living inside of us forever unlock too. And that is part of the weight loss journey and the healing your physical body, because we swallow so much of our journey and so many of our stories. And a lot of times those suppressed emotions really are the root of some of the issues that we're having psychologically or physically. All right, we're going to wrap it up, but I have some fun questions to ask you.
Okay.
So, if you could have dinner with any woman, past or present, who would it be and why?
This is really going to show my southernness. That's important. My southern.
Let's go.
Mine would be Reese Witherspoon.
Oh, I love her.
I grew up in the 90s. So many of the movies and like rom-coms and all the things I like were Reese Witherspoon. And I don't know, I just think she'd be a really cool human to meet and to chat with. You know what I mean? Like, just to pick her brain and her experiences. Like, she's done so much. That's the first person my brain goes to. So I'll say Reese.
I love that. She feels so real.
She does. She feels like I already know her. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I grew up with Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, that's great. She wasn't even on my radar. So,
Yeah.
is she Southern?
I don't know. See, I think of her from Sweet Home Alabama, where she has
that's
the
right.
Southern accent. And she's been in a lot of movies, like, playing a Southerly role.
That's
I
right.
don't know. I follow her on Instagram. She just seems like she would be Southerly, right? Maybe
Yeah.
she's just a good actress, but she seems like she would be.
I love that. All right, if you had a magic wand and could instantly fix one thing in the world, what would it be?
Ooh, that's deep, Leslie. That's like super deep. One thing. Okay, the first thing that comes to my mind is like incurable, like cancer. Just because so many patients in primary care, it's a terrible diagnosis. I feel like cancer, it's all different ages. Like, I have seen people struggle in their 20s or their 30s with terrible diagnosis, like terminal diagnoses, and it's a hard one. Like I wrestle with that. So yeah, if we could just make cancer go away, I think that would be lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. I that would be on
There's so
really
many
high.
other problems that need to be solved too. That's just what came to the forefront of Lauren's mind.
Yeah. Or you're a nurse.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're a healer. Okay, we'll end with this. What is your favorite quote or mantra that you live by?
Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. Yeah, definitely. I have little nuggets of scripture that I'd say I have like spread throughout my house, but that one, goodness, if there's a bad day, if there's a good day, that's just a good verse to lean on. Like,
It is.
we're so much bigger. He is so much bigger than we can even fathom, like that we can even understand or know. And I think like living at the beach and living in the mountains like just reiterates that, like how small we are when we see like creation and are outside in it, and experience that.
Yeah. I think my first realization with that was also during COVID. I was a travel nurse in Alaska. And, we were the whole world had not opened up yet, but as emergency workers, we could travel. And I was assigned to cardiac surgery or a cardiac unit in Alaska. And just being out there, know people, I'd go for hikes for 3 days and never see another person. And just really, really being in nature and immersed in it. And seeing the vastness of it and how, standing next to a glacier, standing next to grizzly bears, and feeling like I was in a National Geographic movie, but realizing there was so much more. I love that you ended with that. So anybody looking for you, they want to jump on this weight loss wagon, they want to meet Lauren, how can we reach you? What's the best places
Yeah,
where
I
where
hang
you
out on Instagram the most. Instagram is where I hang out. So at Lauren Gary Wellness. If you follow me, I will go ahead and guarantee you I will message you directly. I message all of my new followers. I want to talk to you. It is not automated. It's my little fingers trying to get to know you. So don't be bombarded or caught off guard by that. So I would love to connect, and that's the easiest and best way to find me.
I'll include all the links to get to know you and find you. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your words of wisdom today. Thank you for your ripple that you're creating in the world and showing up so powerfully with so much faith and so much guidance and so much love. I really appreciate you, and I know that the people who are blessed to hear this today are going to be positively affected by this. So,
Thank you, Leslie. I've enjoyed our conversation as always.
yeah.